Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bella. I love all things design and DIY, and today I'm going to be showing you around my bathroom. One of my best performing videos on my channel thus far is my bathroom tour that I posted just less than a year ago. Since that video, I've made some major changes and I am so in love with the way that the space looks right now. So I thought I would take you through a very detailed tour of everything in this room. A big thing that people mentioned in the previous video was that they wished I would have shown more of the room and not just like small details. Because the space is so small, it's very hard to give you a good overview of what it actually looks like in real life. But I think I got a lot more wide angles for this video, so hopefully it's sufficient. Previously, I did this really pretty stamping technique on the walls, and while I did love this, it took a lot of energy and time. It was something that I did because I wanted something more interesting and layered on the walls. I couldn't pick a paint color, and I also didn't want to go through all of the effort of stripping the room down to nothing and painting. I loved it. It did still just have too much lightness in it for me to be fully happy with the way that it looked. I felt like things still looked a little bit too jumpy against it because I really gravitate towards darker tones. I'm learning I don't really like light tones on walls unless I'm going for an intentionally very contrasty, stark kind of look. And so over time, I just wasn't loving it. And then recently I moved a few things around in here and was left with holes on the wall where things weren't stamped. If you've watched the previous few vlogs, then you've probably noticed that. I realized I could either take kind of the same amount of effort just filling in the gaps of where the stamping was gone, or I could just do something totally new and paint the space. And I'm always into something new. I love switching things up. And right now I'm really in a stage of trying to understand my own style and really fine-tune it and figure out what that is. So if I can experiment with a new color or a new technique in a space, then I absolutely want to do that. I just didn't really end up wanting to spend any money on paint, and so I decided to mix a custom color with all of the random bits of paint that I had lying around. What I landed with was this really beautiful smoky purple. It was very far from the original idea that I had, but I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. It just brings the room down and makes it feel so grounded. I absolutely love it. The original wood in this house is very dark, and then I also have a lot of dark brown elements added into this space. There's a lot of dark wood, and I feel like this purple tone almost mimics a slight tone of the shadows in the dark wood, if that makes sense. And so I just think it looks so rich, all layered up together, and I am really obsessed with it. This room is 8.5 by 5 feet, so it is only 42.5 square feet. Not the smallest bathroom you can have by any means, but considering there is a shower, sink, and toilet in here, it's pretty tight. And so I have to be pretty clever about the way that I use storage in here and how I choose to kind of conceal things and incorporate decor. So one major thing that made this room feel so much more just grounded, and I keep using that word, but that is what it feels like now, just more layered and textural almost, was this wall behind me. So behind this curtain, you can't quite see because of the lighting, but this is where my shower is. It's just a really ugly white freestanding shower. There's no hope of that ever being replaced, and so I thought, you know what, that was taking up way too much visual space. Why don't I just put a curtain up there? It was definitely gonna go one way or another, where it was either gonna make the room feel a lot smaller and way too closed in, or it was just gonna make it feel really cozy and less utilitarian. I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. It covered a lot of that brightness from the shower because it is white and frosted glass or plastic. I don't know what showers are made of. And then in front of that, I have this really cute, it's actually an over the toilet cabinet that I thrifted for $12, which was amazing. And then I painted in coal black by Fusion Mineral Paints. And then the inside is one of my favorite colors, Kensington Green by Benjamin Moore. It's also on the inside of my bedside table in my bedroom. It's one of my favorite things, is just painting something very primitive and simple and then having a pop of color on the inside. Originally when I put this in, I tried to keep it really pretty on the inside. I have so little space in here for storage. There's no built-in storage in this room. So everything I do for utility, I try to also make pretty. And so progressively I've started putting more utilitarian items in this cabinet, and I'm really wanting to cover up the glass. And so I have a faux caning. It's like a plastic grid cane. And I think I'm gonna take that and make inserts for both of these doors and then paint it out black so that you can see through a little bit, but you can't see like my mouthwash, you know, because that's not aesthetically pleasing at all. I have a stool that I've always sat under here, but because this is a over the toilet cabinet, there's always been kind of an awkward amount of space that isn't being used underneath where the toilet would go. So I have this antique crate from my grandmother that happened to just slide in here with a centimeter of clearance on each side. And so I took that as a sign, is meant to be here. So I stuck that on top of this stool. And then this is how these things progress. I have a very big onyx chessboard that I left outside on the porch and let it overwinter in our very harsh Ontario conditions, and it cracked. The piece that I was left with happened to also slide perfectly into this crate, acting as a bottom for it. It's very kind of patched together, the whole situation, but I'm really enjoying the way that it looks. And so down there I just have some, again, more utilitarian things, but things that are a little bit too big to be stored in any of the other storage that I have, things that don't quite fit on these shelves or in any drawers. I've put them there and I really like that. It's avoiding me having to set them on like my windowsill or the floor. So just containing anywhere that clutter could possibly end up in this space because it is so small is very important. I have very kindly been delivered a coffee, and so I thought I'd take this moment to show you this adorable mug that I got from Indigo. It has a little sausage dog on it with a red collar, and something about this feels very Christmassy to me, but also just generally cozy for the entire year. So little mug cameo. Mug plug, if you will. The medicine cabinet above the toilet in this area is one of my favorite things in this room. I think it's one of my favorite things I own, actually. It's a piece that's been in our family for a very long time, and somehow it ended up with me in my bathroom. And in here is where I store all of my skincare products and kind of anything in that realm. That all goes in there. It's the perfect size, so I know that if anything exceeds the amount that I can fit in there, that I've gone way too overboard and I need to clear out my skincare products. Everything that I keep out in a space, especially something small like this, I try for it to have some sort of meaning and purpose and beauty, basically, are like my three criteria. And so above this cabinet, I have a really beautiful watering can that my sister gave me. This is from a Polish pottery company called By Hand and Fire, and I absolutely love all of their pieces. I really love the colors that show up in that pottery, like that really deep, rich blue and the cranberry tones. I just love them. And so that sits up there. Sometimes I water my plants with it, but I'm gonna be honest, this spout is not the best for watering. And so it's mostly just for looks, but I think I will start to build floral arrangements in it soon because I need some interesting vessels for those. And then beside it is a candle that my cousin made and kindly gifted to me. And I've been looking for something to fit this candle for almost a year now. And I just finally found this really gorgeous little hobnail pedestal vase at the thrift store. I got this a few weeks ago and it's just made me appreciate this candle even more. I love the way all of that looks, and when I look at it, I think of so many different people in my family, and so that is the recipe for a perfect vignette, in my opinion. Below this, I have a shelf that I put up here. I think it's a piece of baseboard actually, and then it just has two simple brackets underneath. It was black previously, but I've painted it the same color as the wall so that it looks just more like built in and kind of original. I find, especially in old places, the more you layer pieces in the same tone as what you have going on in the wall, the more it can easily look original to the house. So even though everything in this corner is kind of mixed matched together, it looks like it kind of belongs and it just sits quietly with the wall color. And so on here, I don't really have anything useful on this shelf right now, aside from this little china plate, which I absolutely love. This is a great example of taking anything utility and just making it beautiful so that you have more enjoyable little experiences throughout your day. I am a huge believer that those greatly add up and just give you a more enjoyable existence overall. And so something as simple as a little plate, I actually think can make a huge impact on your life. And that's kind of what this channel is about. So this is a great example. I have a shower in this bathroom, but our family bathroom has a very big, wonderful tub. And so anytime I have a bath, I like to transport my bath products on this little plate. So I'll do like a soap bar, shampoo bar. And when I tell you, when I walk from this bathroom with a lit candle and a saucer with a soap bar on it, I feel like the main character in a period drama walking through the halls of a castle, lighting them with my candlestick. So little things like that, they give you a little boost. So that's kind of a bath shelf. And then on the wall beside this, you'll notice I have this really pretty, I don't know what you call this, but it's a very scrolly floral sort of trim. I'll link the video where I did a lot of these DIYs down below, and you can see how I very not professionally installed this trim, but it is just a styrofoam, like kind of composite material. So they're like feather light and super easy to install. And I think once I painted over the trim with the same color as the walls, it looks original. Not that I know if it's like remotely close to historically accurate. That doesn't matter to me very much. It's just the feeling that it brings to the room. And so I have that trim mirrored over on this side of the bathroom, on either side of the mirror. This one's a little bit more tucked away, and my camera wasn't quite able to pick it up because the lighting over here isn't great, but I like that it's mirrored on both sides. I had just enough to do that, so those are the only walls that have it, but I think it makes sense. And then above this trim, I have two of my grandmother's paintings. I love them, and I love that my grandma's style of painting happens to fit the vibe that I have going on in here so perfectly. And then above those paintings, I have an old oil lamp that I thrifted. Actually, I don't think it is very old, but it looks weathered and it is functional. I just don't want to use it, but it's hanging on a really nice heavy iron hook. I love layering things like this. It wouldn't be just enough for me to just hang the lantern on the wall on a nail or a plain hook. Let's layer it up and hang first a beautiful iron hook and then the lamp on the iron hook. So I love this. I love the pop of red, especially against the purple. I think that color combo is beautiful. Above this entire area where my window is, I have just a plank of wood that's been stained and lacquered. So up there I have a row of baskets that have cleaning supplies, 2 baskets of alternate candles that I keep in storage because I have a lot of candles, and hot water bottles. Very, very specific storage, but that is so important in a space that's small like this, that everything you could possibly bring in here has a very specific spot. Another small detail above my toilet, I have this really beautiful copper pot that I thrifted. It's had many different functions in this room since I got it, but right now the function that it's serving is just nicely tucked on top of my toilet underneath that shelf. I've been looking for something to store my supplements in because they've just been sitting on my bedside table, and I thought I would try this out, keeping them in that tin and seeing if that's in a spot that is visible to me enough in the morning that I can remember to take them. So we're testing that out. We'll see if it works for me. The window I think has become my favorite thing in this room. I absolutely hate white window trim. Is it called window trim? Not trim, but like the inside, like the actual window frames. I don't like them. If we owned this house, I would paint them, but we do not. So white it is, but my trick with all of the windows is trying to cover as much of that framing as possible. So very strategically placed curtains. This is the first time that I've had curtains in this room, which I love, and I think that it's definitely what the space needed. But prior to that, I actually took a piece of garden lattice. It's just the kind that like stretches. I don't know what that's called, but I'm sure you can find it lots of places for pretty cheap. And so we had some of this lying around, and I thought I would try framing it in my window, and it fit perfectly. It's actually just secured by 2 fabric ties that I tied onto the top. Our windows open from the bottom and the top, so I just opened the top, stuck the fabric in, and then pinched it closed. It stays pretty well, and the nice thing is on the ledge on the bottom of the window, when I open and close the bottom, since the lattice is flexible, it moves with the window. So it couldn't be more perfect. If you have a small window, I would definitely suggest trying this. It gives me the vibe of like, I don't know what you call this kind of window pane, but like that diamond shape on like Tudor houses, which I absolutely love. So I think it just adds, again, more of that layering, more of the old world sort of look, and it covers up more of the modern elements that have been added to this house that I am not crazy about. So for the actual curtains, again, the video where I do all these DIYs will be linked down below, so you can go watch that if you want to know about the whole process of this, but I'll give you the rundown anyways. These are 2 pillowcases that I made quite a few years ago, right before we moved into this house. I forgot about them until somewhere in the past year where I found them again and thought, okay, I need to save these for something, because I didn't feel like I wanted the motif to be in my bedding. I wanted to be able to see it a lot more. So I ended up actually installing these with 2 beautiful brass finials that I had thrifted. They were like $3. And then I popped these rings on the top. I didn't have to do any sewing. And the curtain rod is actually a branch of white pine. I think it all worked together perfectly. I think that just about covers all of the main details I wanted to talk about. I hope you got some inspiration from this video if you've been needing any, and just enjoyed seeing inside this space. Be sure to subscribe down below if you want to see more videos like this, and definitely check out the description box to find the other bathroom videos that I've done if you want to know more about this space. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you back here next time.